Peace and blessings and good evening. Welcome to another edition of King Talk Tuesdays. I'm your host, Andy King, the show with real views, real news, and real talk. Here on King Talk Tuesday, we cover so many topics, whether it's economics, education, healthcare, spirituality, and so much more. King Talk Tuesdays airs live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Roku TV, Amazon Prime, Horizon Satellite, but more importantly, we're on Millennial TV 24 at 7 p.m. We also air at 9 p.m. on Optimal Channel 70, as well as Fios 2136. You know what I always say, right? People pay attention to people who participate. So tell a friend, tell a neighbor that King Talk Tuesdays is airing now. And if you have a thought, question, or comment, you can email us at kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. Again, our email address is kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. You can also leave a comment or phrase on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. You know, there's so much going on in the world today, but you know what I really want to know? As the late great Marvin Gaye would say, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Well, let's talk about a little bit what's going on in the city of New York. We want to let you know right now, you know, it's the season of celebrating as the holidays are here upon us. So we want to let you know, actually happening right now, the River Bay Corporation out of Co-op City is celebrating its annual holiday event, recognizing those employees who do so much to make sure that the largest NORC in the United States of America, which is a natural or current retirement community in the USA, is a great place to live. So thank you and kudos to all the staff of River Bay Corporation, the board members, and everybody who lives in Co-op City for being an historic place in the United States of America. Secondly, we want to let you know that our Mayor Eric Adams, today announced the appointment of James Stratford as the Executive Director of the City of New York Young Men's Initiative. Stratford brings to this role 2 decades of experience within the nonprofit and youth development space. As a native New Yorker, Stratford grew up participating in city-led programs such as Summer Youth Employment Program and will use his own lived experience to help oversee the Young Men's Initiative. And last, we want to let you know that on December 24th at 12 noon, the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program, which is celebrating 20 years of service to young people in the borough of the Bronx and beyond, will be hosting its annual Sharing is Caring. It will be held on the 24th, as is custom, where kids will get an opportunity to come out and have a great time. There'll be some food, there'll be some gift giving, there'll be some games, there'll be some partying as they celebrate 20 years. If you are interested in bringing your children to this great event, you can email bronxyep@gmail.com. Again, the email address is Bronx spelled out BRONXYEP@gmail.com. Well, we know that this is the season. It is the season. So what's happening right now? We're sitting down with a couple of young people because, yeah, I say we're all young. Some are just younger than others. We're just going to kick it with you tonight because this is the season of so many things that are happening in the city of New York and beyond. So I want to welcome to the first time to King Talk Tuesday, a woman who's done a lot of great work and has some longevity and a lot of wisdom to back it up with her conversation today. We want to welcome Francine Reva Jones to King Talk Tuesdays. Welcome, my sister. How are you this evening?
Thank you. I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm glad you can join us tonight. And no stranger to King Talk Tuesdays, someone who gets it right on a political scope. And the neighbor spoke. We got to give it up, Brother Dion Powell. He's joining us again tonight. Brother Dion, welcome again.
Thank you, Councilman.
I appreciate you much. And of course, you can't have 100 unless you got 100 black men in the room. And this young man has been steady doing the work of serving youth, serving the neighborhood, but more importantly, being a black man and taking it strong and being strong in the struggle. Brother Rudy Coombs, welcome to King Talk Tuesdays.
Thank you for having me, Brother King.
Well, we appreciate you, man, and we're looking forward to having a great conversation with these great minds that are joining us this evening. So we talked about this is the season. So what does that actually mean? You know, the holidays are upon us. There's a time of the year that people just feel a certain way, they act a certain way, they engage in certain activities and behaviors. But before we get in there, you know, we are our two guests who are here for the first time. Reva Jones, I know you're out of Co-op City. You've done some work with the African American Coalition Association. All right, talk to our viewers a little about who you are, the work you've been doing, and the organizations that you're part of.
Okay, so I'm a member of the oldest organization, one of the oldest organizations in Co-op City, and that's the African American Association. And I've been a member of that organization for about 40 years.
Mm.
And then the Coalition of African American Churches and Community Organizations was established when there were things going on in Co-op City that we needed to organize around in order to get things done. And that was started in 1996, and we were incorporated in 1999, and we're still going. And last weekend we just had our 28th pre-Kwanzaa. Well, it used to be regular Kwanzaa, but there's so much happening during Kwanzaa week, so we did a pre-Kwanzaa that we just celebrated last weekend. And those are the two organizations. I'm a card carrier, member of the NCNW, and the Retirees of Dries Loop. That's a fabulous organization, and several others, I think. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
So welcome. I guess the next time we ask the question, we're going to ask you what organizations you're not part of, because it seems like you're part of everything there.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. Brother Rudy's in the house. Introduce yourself to our viewers about who is Rudy Coombs.
Brother Rudy Coombs, I'm with the 100 Black Men. I'm with the Youth Shelter Program of Westchester, with the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm with Kappa Alpha Psi Bronx Alumni Chapter. And those are the hats that I wear. Most of these organizations I just mentioned, I've been with over 30 years. And the reason I've been with them over 30 years because they help the community and they're giving back. And that's something I want to do, is give back.
So right now we got about 70 years of experience right here, just between the both of you, and we're going to cross the 100 years thresholds. When Dion, you know it like a poet. So talk to the people about some of the stuff that you got going on.
Well, I'm the district leader in the Bronx Conservative Party, so that's one thing. We're getting our candidates on the conservative line, Democrat, even Republican line, ready for the 2025 season. One of the things I've been doing recently on the right side is promoting the over 8,000 political appointments that got to get filled in the new administration and what that entails. And that's my advocacy. I put out January 20th inauguration information to the community, and we'll see who bites.
Well, I know you're serving some good food on that menu, so there'll be some folks that are going to bite. So God bless you. So let's jump into we're in, quote unquote, the end of the calendar year of 2024, and it's the holiday season, or holiday season, whatever floats everyone's boat. But let's talk about it. You mentioned earlier a little bit about Kwanzaa. Talk a little about what does this holiday season mean for you?
Well, Kwanzaa, was started by Maulana Karanga in 1966, and ever since then, ever since I've known about it, it had a very big meaning to me, because the people that I come across can use some upliftment. There's sometimes you see a lot of sadness in the community, and a lot of people who don't have jobs and are lacking funds and things like that, and you want to be able to help them somehow. And while Kwanzaa is not able to help everybody, it's a celebratory, and the principles of Kwanzaa help in a way that people can use for a style of life, a lifestyle, because the Kwanzaa principles talk about unity and spirituality and things like that. So, that's what I go by as the basis for how I live. And I would like to see other people do it too.
The 7 principles, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you run them off?
No.
See, we got
That's a gotcha question. I told you.
Well,
Umoja, Kuja Jakalia, Ujima, Ujama. You caught me.
so
Faith.
Yeah.
I know faith is one of them.
Okay.
But and thank you for allowing the young people to participate with us. They did it very well.
Oh yes,
They did
thank you,
very
thank you.
well.
No, she's referring the pre-Kwanzaa event that happened in Co-op City. The Bronx Youth Empowerment Program was there, and they
Yeah.
actually read the meanings of the 7 principles and lit the candles up for what was considered to be a spiritual component to many who are in search of trying to find some discipline. So, Brother Dion, other than the politics, we'll get into a little later. What does the holiday seasons mean for you?
Well, as a Christian, Christmas or Xmas, which I just realized X mean you don't know the date, is a time for coming together. It's very somber for me because I don't really have a concept of family anymore, as it were. Just my mother and father. Everybody else is kind of distant and a niece. And like I was showing you earlier, I realized reading the Bible for myself that it wasn't three wise men. The Word of God says the wise men. It was just the three gifts. So factual, because I put factual feelings.
Love it, love it, love it. Rudy Coombs, talk to us. What does the holidays mean for you?
For me, it's solemn. It's a merry time. It's a time to celebrate and get together. But at the same time, it's one of the roughest times when a lot of people are dying. I had 13 deaths in 3 weeks already. And I'm like, I thought about it and I said, wow, this is the time to celebrate. But there's a lot of people that's hurting right now with bereavement. So for those people that are out there that's going through that, I sympathize with you. And this is the time that know that people are with you at this particular time because everybody goes through some kind of bereavement in their lives. So celebrate to the best of your ability. Get around people that's going to make you merry and happy. Eat a lot, enjoy yourself. And, January, you just, say, hey, I'll put the food to the side. But enjoy yourself to the best of your ability. Life is short. This is a merry season. And yes, bereavement happens, and it's going to happen till the day we die.
Dion, why do you celebrate the holidays? In what mode that you can celebrate it?
Tradition, like a few things. The food, of course, as always, culturally, and the come together of people and community. And, as a kid, you love the gifts, but when you're an adult, it's expensive. I have no kids, so everything works out for me.
Reva, you're doing a lot of celebrate because I know you're part of a lot of organizations. Why do you feel that there's a need to celebrate during the holidays?
To celebrate? Well, like I said, Kwanzaa is one of the things. It reinforces the principles that we live by. It's called the 7 principles: unity, Kujichagulia, and faith, and that sort of thing. It just reinforces people. So that's what I feel that needs to be presented every year.
So we are at this time of the year where people start feeling happy or sad, whatever those emotions they're experiencing them. There are a number of songs that get played and made in regards to giving love during this time of the year, where we should be kinder to one another, more gentler to each other, more understanding of each other. Would you agree that this is part of the narrative that comes around this November, December time?
It should be, absolutely.
Well, why can't we act like that all year round? Anybody? Why can't we just behave that kind of way all year round?
Well, for one, times now are very stressful. We live in stressful times. We live in a time when mental health is really a problem. Mental issues are really rising to the top. You see it on the news all the time. And with that, we have to start taking care of each other and looking out for each other. And that's a good thing that you asked right now. We need to start looking out for each other more, especially those who have mental illness. If you see someone, like they say, if you see something, say something. So, help these brothers and sisters out here before they do something that we could have avoided.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, but we have to take a quick break right now on King Talk Tuesday, and we'll be right back as we're going in our conversation about the holidays, the holy days, spirituality, whatever that looks like for you. But we're going to be right back on King Talk Tuesdays after a message from Israel United in Christ.
Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. Scan that QR code that you will see on the screen. Because guess what? We trying to push this truth throughout the 4 corners of the earth. Let's push this truth throughout the 4 corners of the earth, man. Stop playing games.
Make sure you subscribe to all our channels. We pushing the truth. Make sure you subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Stop playing games.
Welcome back to King Talk Tuesdays. I'm your host, Andy King, the show with real views, real news, and real talk. We're covering all type of topics, and tonight we're talking about "Tis is the Season." And we're thankful for Millennial News 24 for covering this conversation tonight because so many people are going through it. Somebody's trying to figure it out. Someone's trying to say, hey, I'm happy. Somebody say, I'm sad. Brother Rudy, before we went to break, started talking about the mental illness that folks are having. So I ask you, Brother Dion, how come we cannot, if we're going to be given this message during November and December, then come January, we forget about all the joy and promises that we gave to each other, and then we go back at each other's throats? Why not all year round human beings can't behave in such a loving fashion?
Well, for me, there's so much stimulus out there that's going into our eyeballs that adds to the mental hygiene equation. And out of that stimulus is our focus as a human on all the negativity, because it's more interesting than the humane stuff and the good stuff. So that's what I think all year round. Now, if we can program these things to program ourselves for all the good things, that may help out so much. But I believe this is one of the number one reasons why, in America at least, we're not doing it all year round.
Interesting that you picked up the device that everyone is stuck on, whether it was TikTok, knock, everything that get you all messed up, smallpox, whatever it is, because you do find a lot of children, at least, and even adults, they're just connected. Before they used to have something called the phantom ring, that you would feel your phone ringing, even though you even had your phone on you, because you had your phone on your head. Yeah, you just thought that your phone was on you. And even I heard a story in regards to the algorithms that China was using for their children, that they would get the positive stories, but in America, the black and brown kids were getting the violence and all the crazy raunchy stuff on their phones. Talk to us, Ariva. Again, it's a season of joy and happiness. Why can't the human component take it 365 days a year?
Well, I feel that I think there's a lot of competition out there, and a lot of people can't deal with that much competition. A lot of people don't have jobs, or a lot of people are not making enough money to sustain themselves the way they would like to, and the way maybe other people are. So I feel that, it's very stressful. I think life is very stressful for some people, and I think that's why they don't feel joyful 12 months a year. So around this time where, things look festive and lights are bright and blinking and things like that. And I think they might feel festive for a couple of weeks a year.
So it sounds like we've been conditioned to be happy and then go back into dark modes from January 1st thereon. And then all these man-made holidays that we got going on. I got to ask you, Brother Rudy, because you mentioned a little bit about, you work with young people, and how has the work that you do with them, because I work with young people myself, during the holidays, how do they view the holidays? Because you're working with young people who are in a shelter system.
Well, the youth shelter program in Westchester is actually an alternative for incarceration for young men 18 to 25. And it's a unique organization because it's making a drastic change in young people's lives. If you go to the youth shelter program and you'll see the young men walking around, they're happy. They didn't come in like that, and they feel good about themselves. They got their self-esteem and they got their confidence. You talked about that iPhone, a phone that you have there, and was a saying that you will be what you see. You'll also be what you hear. Okay. If you're consistently listening to negativity and watching negativity consistently 24/7, guess what? You're going to be a part of that negativity. So what we're seeing on social media a lot of times, that these young people are watching this stuff, the gangs and all this stuff, the shooting and all this other stuff, and the racing the cars and stuff like that. They want to become that in real life, not understanding that this can have a serious consequences and change your whole life. Because one serious mistake can just change your life forever.
You want to add something to that?
One of the elements that you may have neglected is you are what you eat. So once again, the comfort food can be very detrimental long term, and sometimes that adds to your body's self-esteem. And also, believe it or not, some of the ingredients in American food do affect our mindset and mood.
And that's good. Just to piggyback off of that, I had a friend that said he made a decision in 40 seconds that took him 40 years to correct. So be careful of the decisions you make, because you may have to really correct them for a long time.
So true. I like that. And we had the boys to men conversation, and one of the young men learned from my son. He says it's exactly what you said. He said 15 seconds cost him 15 years based on the decision that he made.
Yep.
So we got to be better.
Especially.
Oh yeah. Reva, now you're part of a number of organizations. Chime in. We want to hear about what's the flow of the young people that you also target and work with over the years, because you're not new to this game.
Well, I did try to create a mentoring program in Co-op City, but I was focusing on the young African Americans. However, at that time, they wanted it for everybody, all the youngsters in Co-op City. So I wasn't able to start it, but I did become a part of mentoring program at the Abyssinian Baptist Church. It was an excellent program. But due to COVID, they suspended it for a while. So I think they'll pick it back up and at some point. But I like the gentleman, what he said about the young people that he's sort of mentoring, right?
Yes, I've been mentoring for quite a while now.
Okay. And recently I heard that Steve Harvey also has a mentoring program for boys. And I think his wife has one for girls. And I believe it's in Georgia. I'm not sure, but my grandson is in Georgia, and I'm about to send him there because they really need structure and discipline. So I think it's very good for them.
Well, sounds like this is the season for more mentoring for our children. And I like what you said about we are the foods that we eat. From the coloring that's in our food to how food is grown, and just the abundance. Have you ever noticed that you go to the store and you get some chicken and it's like the chicken leg is the size of a turkey leg? Yeah. I'm like, what chicken is that?
Our food is designed to actually make you more hungry. That's how that is. So that's why I do a little plant-powered Metro New York. Shout out to them for the plant-based mentorship and teaching how to cook and stuff. They really go into the science of American food and how fake it is. For example, if you buy a piece of fruit and has no seeds in it, it's not a fruit.
That's right.
Right.
I don't see common sense, but hey, it is what it is.
Most European countries have taken sugar out of it. They don't use sugar. We use abundance of sugar, and sugar creates obesity.
Well, that's another conversation for this season. How do we properly feed ourselves during this time of the year? We just came through, quote unquote, the Thanksgiving, where everyone just they fast for the whole beginning of the day, and then in the nighttime they eat like they go into electric chair.
Nice. That's a good one.
So how do we educate ourselves in this season, because it's still festive and everybody's overeating, they're overindulging in everything? How do we take this season and figure out how do we educate ourselves? And I'm bringing this thing because you just mentioned something about plant-based food and mentioning to folks that if it doesn't have a seed in it, it's not literally a fruit. Talks about real food against man-made food, even such as broccoli, which I thought was something good. But then I learned broccoli is a combination of different stuff put together and made. It's not actually something that's actually just literally grown. Like you can grow some collard greens. I call them collard greens. They call them collard greens in the store, but after mama get a hold of them, they turn into collard greens.
Just don't clean them in your bathtub.
That's right. Talk a little about healthy living.
Well, healthy living, again, shout out to Plant Power Metro New York, because it's a mindset shift. And with this program, which is very inclusive and also culturally based with their food, they do mentor you. It is community. You do have I don't want to say a sponsor, but someone you can call if you have that craving, or you have the virtual group settings where people are talking about what they're going through. People advance. I don't know how to cook, so I thought anything I could contribute, but the community, I said, well, did you know that there's something called New York City Grow? And in New York City Grow, there's something called Health Bucks. And here's the database for all the little farmers markets. And once you go, they do escort traditional farmers market. They let you ask questions and what's what, but you need a community of a mindset. You can't just be one person in the hood being healthy amongst everybody else. Then that's when things start kicking in, and people order certain foods, and you're triggered by the smells, and then you're black, so you have to eat those collard greens, you know, or else it's gonna be rude to grandma. You know? So all that comes into play.
Reva, the African American Association, I know they do celebrations. How do you all at this moment in time figure out how to balance that as you're celebrating? Even at the Kwanzaa event you had, you know, I got to tell you that macaroni and cheese, I get it, you know, we do what we do, but how do we have a paradigm shift, as Brother Powell shared, and how do we in this season eat healthier?
Well, I think, like you mentioned, I think they take a day to really pick out, so to speak. And then I think they'll go back to their usual routine of hopefully it's healthy eating. But the African American Association has been doing holistic health events every year this is at least the 12th year coming up. And I would like to invite the brother here who has connections with the holistic world, the holistic, so would you be interested in joining us?
Of course, but just like church, sometimes I backslide. So don't use me as an example.
Well, we're going to try not to backslide. We're going to try to stay forward because this is a season for new beginnings. And, you know, we start a new calendar year in a couple of weeks. And how do we, and people, please stop with the New Year's resolution that you're going to do this, you're going to change up something. If your mind ain't ready, then don't act like you can keep it steady, because that's the only way it works. All right. And people fib to themselves and think they can do things and they can't break those habits.
And make a realistic resolution, something that you can accomplish, not something that's going to be very difficult. Start little and then work your way up.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. You have to change your lifestyle completely and not just do it for a couple of months, or it's got to be forever.
There you go. And Planet Fitness is not the answer for everyone. All right.
Yes.
You got to realize that you got, like you said, you got to have a paradigm shift on how do you want to live your life, you know, or you get that health scare that makes you change. It makes you change it up, you know. So this is truly the season. Rudy, I want you to dive in a little bit more. I know you're part of an organization. We both of us are part of an organization, 100 Black Men, but you've been part of this membership almost since day one. Talk a little about the history of 100 Black Men in this season.
It started in 1963. A group of brothers, powerful brothers, Jackie Robinson, Bruce Llewellyn, and so many others, brothers that got involved with a situation that happened with the commissioner of the police at the time, Bob Magnan. He tore up a traffic summons for a young lady, and because he did that, all hell broke out. And David Dinkins and brothers got together, were doing exceptionally well, and said, this has to stop. And so it started with 100 men, and then it changed over to 100 Black men. And it's been in existence since 1963. We just had our 60th anniversary, and that was phenomenal. We work in the community. We work with anything that is involving our community, our people, Black and brown people. And we give out food. Turkey. We had about 300 turkeys last year, and this year we just give out checks to churches and stuff like that. We're consistently doing things for the community that needs to be done. Similar to, and a lot of people don't like to talk about the Black Panthers, but the Black Panthers did a lot of things for Black and brown people. And as quiet as I said, the Black Panthers started a lot of things.
Right.
They gave free education, free food, free shelter, free clothing, you know, and they started a thing that we kind of picked up ourselves. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, anytime, you know, Black starts empowering, the oppressive system jumps in and say, hold up, y'all getting too strong, y'all getting too confident, y'all getting too stable, you know. So But hey, that's what King Talk is all about, real news and real views. But we are currently right now at halftime of King Talk Tuesday, the show with real views, real news, and real talk. So we're going to come right back after break, a good message from Fun in the Sun, our good friends and good neighbors, and Millennial TV News 24. We'll be right back on King Talk Tuesdays right after this.
Good Neighbors Community Outreach Agency provides programs that help community residents improve their lives and support their families. Are you in need of food, clothing, employment, or a home? We also provide immigration services and passport renewal.
Hi, I'm Pastor Glad.
And I'm Lady D.
We're here to serve you.
Need help? Ask us.
You can reach us by calling 718-652-3288 or visit us at gncdcny.org.
Well, welcome back to King Talk Tuesdays, the show with real views, real news, and real talk. I'm your host, Andy King. We air live on Facebook as well as YouTube every Tuesday night on Millennial 24 News. We also are streaming on Roku TV, Amazon Prime, Horizon Satellite, Apple TV, and much more. We also air at 9 p.m. on Tuesdays. And you can check your local listings for more episodes on Opto Channel 70 as well as Files Channel 2136. So again, if you have a thought or question, like I always say, pay attention to people who participate. So email us or drop a comment on our Facebook, but our email address is kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. Again, our email address is kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. One of the things that we always do on King Talk Tuesdays is halftime. I'd like to just share a little bit about the world that we're managing today. And for those of you who are tuning in search of some spirituality, some guidance, I ask us all to find a special place in your heart to protect yourself and pray to yourself and pray for others. You know, the world has been tricky for us all. We're going through a lot of changes. The world is going through a lot of bad things. And it's a lack of spirituality. You know, not many of us say they believe in the Most High in Christ. For me, I do. You know, and I understand, you know, there's a lot of trials and tribulations that everyone goes through. And if you want to navigate and get through it, you know, prayers work. And I understand anytime I get in front of Christ, I'll trip and fall. We all trip and fall. Concrete hurts. Let the Most High in Christ carry you through your trials and tribulations. Pray to him and for guidance and strength and love and care and protection. These things matter. Prayer does actually work. You know, for those of us who believe, I've watched things change in my life. I watched go through as I went through my own trials and tribulations. And I know many of you are watching go through your own daily issues every day and trying to manage it and navigate it. So I ask you, you know, say a prayer, you know, and one of the greatest things that you can do is forgive. Forgive others for the things that they've done to you. You know, Christ tells us how do we pray and ask him for forgiveness each and every day, but we can't forgive the brother and sister that we walk with and see each and every day. So I'm asking, so say a prayer for yourself. Say a prayer for your family. Say a prayer for your friends. Say a prayer for your community. Say a prayer for your enemies. Say a prayer for your frenemies. You know, just say a prayer to get through those trying times. And not just when things are bad, but when things are good, say thank you to the Most High in Christ. Because trust me, prayer works. So I ask us all to move forward together as one neighbor in Christ and in full of love, and watch the joy shine in your heart and watch the smile roll out your spirit. And that's what today's message and word is today. We love you and God loves you as well. So we are talking about this is the season. There's a lot of things that are happening in the world. And we've just been going through this holy day season of people worshiping and people celebrating and overindulging. But what is the season really all about? You know, we've talked about the joy that comes at the end of the year, and then we transition at the beginning of the year, and we forget all the love that we have for somebody on December 15th when January 15th rolls around. So how do we continue to stay in the mix of all of that? Well, you know, I always say if you're looking for salvation, you're going to find salvation in the Most High in Christ. That's my answer. No politician can make your life happy or happier. You got to find it within yourself. And of course, our elected leaders have a responsibility to do a job while keeping the joy in your heart and delivering on the essential services and standing up when things are right and when things are wrong. But they don't have the luxury of lying to the people. They don't have the luxury of tripping up folks. They don't have the luxury of representing some and ignoring others. That's just not what you get to ask for the job for. So we are right now getting ready to go into a new season. Donald Trump has been elected as and will be sworn in at the start of the year, January 20th, as the 47th president of the United States of America. So I'd like to ask my guests who are here today, and at no particular order, just wants to chime in. What do you like? What would you like to see out of the Donald Trump and his presidency? And we're going to go with ladies first.
Well, what I would like to see, I doubt if it'll get done, but I would like to see an ending of the Electoral College. And I think it's fairer for people to have one vote and that vote be counted, not through some representatives of the states, particular states. I don't know how they chose those states, but there are only a certain amount of states that they look for these votes from. And I just think it's unfair to the American people. So that's what I would like to see done, but I'm pretty sure that it's not going to be done under Donald Trump's administration.
Okay. Dion, I know you in the groove. Talks a little bit. What do you look forward to seeing? And she just mentioned something about the electoral vote, and I'll come back. Or if you want to talk a little bit about, explain how the electoral vote came about and why is it essential or not essential?
Wow. Okay. Well, then what I want from the new administration for the people is to, learn how it works and why it's there and how to actually change the Electoral College and how to actually amend the United States Constitution and have a convention of states. And that's what I would hope to see happen. And you mentioned it earlier. I'm going to say this. It's going to be controversial. These people have to learn how to forgive Donald Trump. Think about it, Christians or what have you. And what I believe about forgiveness, at least I was told, is more forgiver than the person to be forgiven. And if these people don't know how to love and forgive Donald Trump, their hatred for this man will be their undoing. I promise you. It's always been seen right now. So those are intangible things. Hopefully we'll see out of this.
Mm-hmm. Rudy, Brother Rudy.
I would love to see equalness straight across the board for all races. Don't know if that'll ever happen, but I would love to see something like that, a fairness. Social Security right now, I'd like to see an increase for the elderly for Social Security because the cost of living for the elderly has definitely gone up, and medication and going to nursing homes and whatever they need right now, it's astronomically expensive. And Social Security is needed, Medicare is needed. They need the Obamacare needs to stay in place and even expeditiously improved even more because we need health care, and elderly people need the health care the most because those are the ones we're in the with the baby boomer years now. Everybody that was in the 60s and the 50s and now in their 70s, 80s, and so they need help. You see a lot of people getting sick, the elderly people, because they don't have resources.
Interesting. I want to come back to the health piece that you talked about in healthcare, but I wanted to jump in about the electoral vote that people were trying to figure out how to manage because we knew Hillary Clinton got the popular vote and people were twisted that because Donald Trump had. But for our viewers, if you don't understand the electoral vote, why it was created is because they didn't want states with large populations to monopolize candidacies. So what does that mean? At the rate of the United States, Florida, California, Texas, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania could have been those states that could determine the presidency because of their population. So to try to make it a little more fair for all the other little states that are involved in the union, how do we come up with a system that every state is valued? And that's what the electoral vote is. So, but the mandate of Donald Trump's president election, that he got the popular vote and electoral vote.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and that hasn't happened. They said about 20, 25 years. It hasn't happened in decades.
For a Republican.
Yeah. So there is a mandate on the table, and you said it best about people forgiving, and you forgive people for yourself. Now, a lot of us have gone and we've done some things. But how do we make sure that this president, because he is the president, so those who are in office right now, you can't fight something that's already there. How do you, I'm going to bring this back to you, Dion. How in this season, how do Democrats and Republicans figure out how do we get it? How do we work together? There's already a mandate. The Republicans have the House and the Senate and the presidency
and the Supreme Court.
And so how do those individuals who have been out there convincing America that red is wrong, how do they find themselves back into a place that they're Americans again, and they're actually looking out and working together with everyone who's in the room?
Well, it's already happening. The man hasn't even touched the Bible, and this whole country seems to be auto-correcting itself. And I was actually called a patriot because I'm on the right side of the fence this time. And what does that mean? And accepting the Christmas tree for being a Christmas tree and not the evil pagan, rules. Because so far, the misery of this country loves the country, loves company, and that's what's going on right now. And number one, you got to stop putting the facts over feelings. And people are starting to seek through that with the mainstream media. And just like me, people that don't like me or not in this business, but it's like I've always stood where I am. And people don't have to acknowledge universal truth and stand on truth. Once again, with the universal concept of love, maybe love Donald Trump or forgive him and walk away and let it go. But those are some of the things I think will happen. But again, education about electoral college. One of the challenges I have for everybody there is actually, hey, who are the members of the electoral college? Some of them I actually know some name brands in the New York State. But once you figure out, and you can find little things that the Democrats won't allow you to know, find out who are the members of the New York State Electoral College. And then your eyes might crack open and you start looking for more knowledge that these people will not let you have.
Welcome to America. Eva Jones, the African American Coalition of Association, and you have the Coalition of Churches as well.
Yeah.
So the question I have to ask you, Donald Trump is going to be is the 47th president. How and what would you like to see for Black America out of this presidency?
Oh, what would I like to see for Black America? Well, I would like to see, like the gentleman said, an increase in Social Security, because if you don't have a pension that comes with your Social Security, you're in trouble. You're in trouble because it's really not enough to sustain a person who wants a decent quality of life, So that's what I would like for the Black Americans, and really all Americans, because whatever Black people fight for and get, it's going to benefit everybody, So that's what I would like to see.
Rudy 100 is in the house. Talk to us. Is there such thing, or is there a Black agenda that's going to hit the White House?
That's a good question. We as Black people, not just 100 Black Men, that's your Youth Shelter Program in Westchester, and all the organizations that I spoke about, I can only speak about them personally on my own personal knowledge, but that there has to be an agenda. I think the same thing that you just mentioned, bringing an agenda to the White House, to Trump, same thing happened with Obama. We didn't have an agenda as Black people for Obama. We were so overtaken that we got a Black president that we didn't give an agenda. And now that you just mentioned that, it should not happen again. Trump should be held to an agenda, and the organizations that I'm involved in and all the organizations should get together and put out an agenda and stick to this agenda.
I like that. And that's one of the things that we as Blacks, and I just said, as we said, we're at fault of that, because you hear other agendas, whether it's the Latino agenda or the Italian agenda or it's the Iraq agenda, whatever that is, somebody has an agenda. But when Blacks seem to have an agenda, we can't seem to pull it together, or it falls apart because
we're too inclusive.
Yeah,
I said it.
Yeah, and actually, what tends to happen, we get infiltrated,
compromised, co-opted, led astray.
We're so brainwashed that it's unfortunate. Others know our history better than we know our own history, and they tell our history the way they want to tell it, knowing that it's not the history that we need to know, and it's not the real history. It's unfortunate. Brothers and sisters, get out there and read, do your research, learn your history, learn who you are. We were kings and queens before we were slaves.
I like that, because some people believe that our story starts at slavery in this country. Not necessary, but we are, and we have to take our last break. And as we come back and we're going to jump in a little bit more talking about the next generation and how we can help them in this season be better, because we're talking about retirement. We're talking about healthcare. We're talking about pensions. Where does the next generation figure out where they stand in all this? So we're going to be right back from a youth group who is doing it and doing it well. We'll be right back on King Talk Tuesdays after this message from the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program.
Yep.
The Bronx Youth Empowerment Program, YEP, is a youth organization that has served the Northeast Bronx for 17 years. During our tenure, we have provided recreational and educational forums that have nurtured the growth of many youth in the community. YEP has also serviced hundreds of youngsters around New York City. YEP's target audience is youth from the age of 11 to 18 with the goal of helping youth become productive adults. YEP provides young people with resources to explore leadership skills, community involvement, and self-development. YEP consists of weekly and bi-weekly informational sessions with guest speakers from professional, political, and entertainment arenas. Also, as a part of community involvement, YEP will host trips to a variety of venues for educational and recreational experiences. As we continue to partner with other local organizations and serve our community, we will strive to unite and develop the youth in our community. The mission of the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program is building mind, body, and community.
Well, I want to give a shout out again to the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program, who is celebrating actually its 20th year as of November 16th. And they're doing such wonderful work. They've been, and I listen, it is what it is. I am a co-founder with my loving wife, Neva Shillingford King. And we put this together and we started the program. There was a moment in time where there was a gentleman by name Fernando Ferrer who was running for mayor. And at that point, I was his North Bronx lead. And every time, so I pulled together something called Youth for Ferrer. And every time he would come up to the North Bronx, he was like the Pied Piper, you know, and every time all these kids would follow behind him, whether we were in Co-op City, Edenwald, or Gun Hill. Unfortunately, he lost to Michael Bloomberg, and Michael Bloomberg became the mayor. So these 60 kids looked at me and said, well, what do we do now, Mr. King? Out of that was born the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program. And we're still staying strong 20 years later, keeping our kids community engaged, building their mind and their body so they don't have to have so much health care that we talked about before we went to break. And let's get back to what we were talking about before break. You mentioned about as populations, the baby boom or growing older in this season, there's a lot of energy spent in healthcare, a lot of money spent in healthcare. We just talked about the 47th president who's about to be sworn in and his commitment to making sure reducing prices in food and gasoline and oils and using oil, you know, figure out how we be better. And America first, and everyone else pick a number. Pick a number.
Wait your turn.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing because America needs to be put first. You know, we spend a lot of money across the globe, and sometimes we don't get our returns back on the money that we invest around the globe. Especially when we start talking about investing. You mentioned something about investing and putting foods in it for our senior or our seasoned individuals on the globe. Food is one of the biggest things that cost us to stay in the hospitals, or because of the things that we put in our bodies when we were 15, 29, 42, 71. And now we're like, our job is now going to the doctor. So really talk a little bit more of how do you think in this season, how can we educate this population that's not forgotten, because you leave it up to some of our young people, they forget about us. How do we encourage our next generation to be more energetic towards our valued seniors in our neighborhoods?
Well, no, that's a rough question because we've lost 3 generations and going on the 4th generation. I grew up with discipline, and I had no choice. I had to go to church. Okay, it wasn't like, I don't want to go, or I got to go to church, and I had Sunday school and Sunday church. So Sunday church clothes to wear. And so the discipline has been lost. The parents are friends. I'm not friends with my son. I'm not friends with my daughters. Okay. I'm their parent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't hang out with them. They don't hang out with me. I give them wisdom and knowledge. I discipline them when they make a mistake. And when they ask for a suggestion from me, I give them the best suggestion that someone didn't give me when I was coming up that they need to know. Okay. It's very unfortunate. These kids right now, they have so many things going for them. They have so much opportunity, but they have no desire. I'm coming up. We had desire, but we had no opportunity.
Yeah, I like that. Reva, jump in because I know you have some longevity when it comes to witnessing young people do right, do wrong, and watching some of your own peers get it right and some of them get it wrong in this day and age. Talk about that.
Well, what depresses me is the family structure, because a lot of times when a husband and wife don't get along and they split up and the children are, like pawns. And so I think it's difficult for females to raise boys. And that's where I think the mentoring comes in, and I think those are very good mentoring programs. And I think they should be elevated. Now, I'm going to ask you, with your youth group, are there families involved, or are there single parent families?
We have single parent families, and we do have two parent households.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program only can stay stable when parents get behind it.
Okay.
If with any program, if the adult that's responsible for a child is not supporting of it, that's with anything, whether it's your math class or whether it's your sporting club you're part of, or you're part of the debate club. If you don't have that support when you leave that school building somewhere, you tend to fall through a crack somewhere. So Dion, I know you've been doing this political piece that's out there, but you come in contact with a lot of folks. So how do we take that in this season and build a structure that allows this generation to be engaged with what you do?
Well, not the finger point, but the issues you guys brought up were incurred and expedited by the previous administration. That's the reality of it. Now, when it comes to family, this administration from these folks, believe it or not, they're faith-based to the hardcore, whether you like it or not. Number two, they want to put family first. And number three, you should know one little factoid, because I'm big on factoids. Since, according to National Black Home Educators, Black home education since 2020 to present has gone from 6% to 17% and growing nationwide. Pretty soon, the African-American community will be the number one homeschooling demographic in America. Why do I say that? Because now Black leaders and Black families and clergy are removing their children out of this fallen educational system and bringing it into the core of the home, where education starts from the ages of 0 to 5. And so I just want to plug them and put that out there.
Well,
school choice is happening.
Well, it's ironic that you say that. I want to paraphrase a quote from the great late Malcolm X. It says, "The insanity of us to send our kids to the oppressor to educate our children."
Karen and Beck.
I'm like, yeah, like seriously, that's some deep stuff to say, because the people who have been, and America is America, and people can't be in denial of what America looked like, especially for the Black American, since its inception. And while there might be some good moments and some good times, some great times, we've gone through hardships that no other folks have gone through on this planet. And when you start talking about, if I'm going to raise my child and educate my child, how do I send a child, to my Black child, to someone whose ancestors beat me up, hurt me, killed me, did all they could do it? Then we're going to send them to their systems. I listen to some people say, the education system is flawed. It's a problem with the education system. But some people say, well, the education is doing what it's designed to do.
And then all of a sudden somebody shows up like Donald Trump and they want to blow the entire thing up. So the question like he asks is, what do you got to lose?
Well, I think that's where Saturday schools come in. We have to have our own private African-American, Black private Saturday schools where we teach them our culture and whatever is missing out of the public school system. That's what we teach them. And I was through the NCNW, and we honored Eleanor Donnelly, and she was the head of that Saturday school.
What is an NCSW for the folks?
NCNW, National Council of Negro Women. And Eleanor Donnelly, who we honored last week at the Kwanzaa celebration, she was the head of it. And I had always wanted to be a teacher, and I involved myself in that Saturday school, and it was very fulfilling to me. And there were some teenagers who, you know, were acted as assistants, and they learned a lot from me, which, you know, things I thought that they should know, because, you know, I was tutoring third graders, you know. But you know, a lot comes out in those Saturday schools, so I think that's what we need to, and maybe Sunday also after church schools. So I think that's what we need to do, get all we can from the public schools, because I think some people can't even afford private schools or Catholic schools or whatever. But you know, I think we have to recreate those Saturday schools.
Well, I just wanted to mention 100 Black Men started Eagle Academy for young
That's
men.
right.
Yes,
Okay,
That's right.
and we started it because we got research said that the state was incarcerating most of the kids from the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan, and Staten Island. So we started a school for boys in the Bronx, 2004. It's 20 years now.
Wow.
Okay. And what's so epic about the schools is that we put the schools in all the crime infested areas that the state said they were getting the most incarcerated boys. And out of those places that we put the schools in every borough, kids graduated from Eagle Academy with scholarships, and not just getting a scholarship, but graduating from Yale, Harvard, West Point, okay? Schools that they said we couldn't possibly get into, they graduated with honors, okay? And the school is still thriving now. We even have one in Newark, New Jersey, okay? So that's very important. Education is a road to freedom.
That's right.
That's right. And I just want to educate you, the New York City and New York State pay more per student anywhere else in the country, but it's controlled by the blue team. So just think about that education.
Interesting you said that, brother Rudy, because when I was as a New York City council member, I was chair over the Juvenile Justice Committee. And one of the things that we learned through all the research, that the young Black male made up 5% of the New York City population, but they made up 48% of the incarcerated system. That doesn't make any sense.
We're only 14% of the population.
Like, wow. So that was definitely a target, but you're absolutely right. And I want to thank you for bringing that to the forefront. The Eagle Academy has been so successful for our young people. So education truly is the key. We literally have about a minute left. So I'd like to give each one of you into season some closing words. You have about 15, 30 seconds to share something. I'm going to start with the queen herself, Francine Reaver Jones. I want to thank you again for joining us tonight. Some final words for our guests, our audience.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This was a real good experience. I was nervous all the while, but because this is my first time. But so the African American Association continues to strive. We have a spelling bee every May. So any of you young people who want to be a part of our spelling bee, please contact us. And we have a holistic health and wellness fair every year. So, and I hope to link up with the gentleman here so we can do it together. And that's my closing.
All right. Brother Rudy Coombs, final words.
I would say to everybody out there, organizations, you see a lot of merging going on in the banks, a lot of mergings happening. You organizations are doing the same thing. You need to get together and find out how you can merge together and make yourself stronger, okay, instead of being separate. Okay, connect the dots and be more powerful, just like the banks are doing and the other companies around. You see the merging, they're getting stronger. We can do the same thing.
Excellent. Dion, you got 10 seconds. Talk to us quickly.
Well, I'm a district leader in the Bronx Conservative Party, the future third party of the Bronx and beyond. Also, go to Trump Vance Transition and look up Serve America and apply for those over 80,000 political appointments. Also go to the Plum like the fruit database and look at what those jobs are, how much they pay. Because Black people, we can't be involved if we don't participate. No matter the state.
Listen, we're running out of time here. I want to thank everybody again for tuning in. But as we always do on King Talk, we end every show with a scripture. Tonight's scripture reads from Colossians 2:8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. If no one told you today, God loves you, and so do I. Your friend, your brother, and your neighbor, Andy King. Peace.